Yo, change these settings now guys to see almost instantaneous improvement in your game to do all of this.
I know you understand. I can't leave you alone. I give you my time, but you can't pick up the phone. Life has been so tragic, if only me alone. Try not to be obsessed. I fucked up, old girl, I know. I know, I know. I fucked up, old girl, I know. I know, I know. I fucked up, old girl, I know.
Yeah, assisting it, I'm in the minute, figuring I talk about money, then listen. I was counting my rights in the kitchen, got better myself on my body and kitchen. Cut my brother be on my submission, if I'm in the plan, you better just stick to it. You saying my girl, but you're dancing on laps, so bitches, your motherfucking run, dude. I made a million, these bitches, they do like the mimic. I come like a king, like the mix.
What's happening YouTube? So one of the first settings I would look into and definitely change is your button layout. If this is on default, you're holding yourself back massively. These button layouts could be a game changer for you. The exceptions to playing default would be if you have paddles, so buttons at the back of your controller, or if you play claw, which is just another way of holding the controller. However, if you don't use any of that, try these layouts I'm about to give you. They will change your game. Alright, the first layout is tactical. So depending on your playstyle, if you're someone that would prefer to slide cancel, drop shot, snake, and dive without taking your thumb off the analog stick, which would make that a whole lot easier by the way, you'll now be pressing your right stick to go crouch / prone, and circle, or B if you're on Xbox is now going to be used for melee. This would then grant you so much more control when doing any of them actions, like I did in my intro. Secondly guys, the next layout is stick and move. So this layout will fit your playstyle if you're someone that likes to jump about a lot. In other terms, jump shot. A lot of TikTok players that are flashy and go for clips tend to use this if they don't have paddles or play claw, because you're able to jump and turn with much more precision than normal. One of its strengths is obviously jump shotting, but it's also great for breaking cameras too. And to jump with this layout, it's as easy as clicking with the right stick, but now you're going to be using X or A if you're on Xbox to melee. Right, moving on. One of the first settings I would recommend you changing are your horizontal and vertical sensitivity, as well as your ADS sense. For horizontal and vertical I would go for 6.6. The reason why is because it's a bit of both worlds. It's not too fast and it's not too slow. It's a really balanced sensitivity that wouldn't hurt your control. Most players in the CDL use anything between 5 and 7, so 6 is the sweet spot. If you're someone that plays on anything below 4, that's far too slow and is only handicapping you. So if you're a person that plays 3, bump that up to 4. Gradually go up, don't jump straight to 6, and anything above 7 is unnecessary. Unless you're a trick shot or someone that likes to go for flashy clips, you don't need to be playing on anything higher. Okay, so moving on to the aiming tab under controller. So for your ADS sense, I've paused it so you can copy mine, but I like to play on 0.8 for my low zoom, all the way up to 4 times, 5 times, because it makes tracking your opponents a whole lot easier. I'm now going to show you an example of this in game. As you can see from this clip, I'm able to trap my enemy with ease, which makes it easier for me to get the kill. I know this probably wasn't the best example, so I'm now going to slow it down and show you one more time. Now that you saw the tracking in more detail, you see why I haven't chose to leave my low zoom on default, because having it lower helps. However, for the other ADS sense multipliers, I've kept them on default, as I rarely use weapons of that magnification, even on Warzone. Once you've done that, come back to controller, and you see where it says controller vibration, make sure you have this off, as it's very unnecessary, especially trigger effect. Make sure this isn't on, because if it's on, you're going to be getting your full haptics, and this is going to be very off-putting when playing online FPS. It's alright for like single player games, etc., but for multiplayer, there's just no use for it. It will just get you killed. And then guys, for the dead zone inputs, I'm actually going to show you all of mine. I'm going to pause it now so you can see all of my dead zone inputs. And I'm also going to explain on why I play and what I do. Okay, so for my right stick min and left stick min, I have them both on 5. But this all depends on the quality of your controller. If you have stick drift, I wouldn't recommend 5. I would start on 10 and go up until you don't see any more drift. My left and right stick max are both on 90. Right, For my L2 and R2 button dead zones, make sure this is on 0. This setting is very important and will change your game 100%. It allows you to aim and shoot with less input, which gives you an advantage against players with a higher trigger dead zone. Another setting that is very important and is literally a game changer is something called aim response curve type. You'll find this under the aiming section under controller. You basically want to put this to dynamic. The reason for this is because with dynamic you're going to be the most snappy when aiming onto a target. Literally all the pros use this, so it's quite a big setting. And guys, for the aim assist type, make sure this is default. Black Ops used to be the best, however that got nerfed, so default is what all the players are running now. So after aiming guys, I've actually moved on to the gameplay section under controller. So for automatic sprint, you're actually going to want automatic tactical sprint on. This is basically where it puts you in that like sprint animation where your gun goes up, giving you that little boost temporarily. So you're going to want this on. I'm going to explain why I play on this as well. And also there's another setting which is very, very important called single tap sprint under tactical sprint behavior. This is where instead of double tapping your left stick to attack sprint, it actually puts you straight in attack sprint just by clicking the left stick once. And also as well, if you're someone that experiences stick drift quite a bit, this will save a lot of your controllers because it saved mine. Like I've been using my controller for about over a year now, whereas before I would start to like see stick drift within like the first 6 months, which is terrible. Whereas if you have this setting on, it saves you a lot of money, man. I'm going to show you an example now why I play on automatic tap sprint and single tap sprint and like how they both like mesh together very, very well. Someone else? So as you can see from this example clip that was also used in my intro, you can see how much easier it is to maneuver since you're going to be clicking less buttons, which is going to naturally make you faster. You're literally going to be moving. Right guys, back to gameplay. So for slide maintain sprint, I forgot to go over this. I have mine off. I feel like this is on default, but me personally, I have this off. So if you want to copy my settings, I go for off. The reason why I have mine off is because I like to have full control over my slide. But if you're someone that's not too bothered about movement and you just want to get it done, just keep this on default. For grounding mantle, I have this on as I feel like sometimes it can actually help you out when you auto mantle like beside objects. But I know for some people it can actually mess you up. So this is personal preference if you want it on or off. Like personally, I have it on, but if you feel like you're someone that keeps getting like stuck auto mantling in gunfights and it's getting you killed, have this off. Automatic airborne mantle partial. Automatic ground mantle hang, have this off. Right, so for the slide slash dive behavior setting, I personally have slide only as I don't like dive. If you're someone that likes to dive as well, go for hybrid. But the reason why I have this on slide only is because if you have tap to slide, the game basically has to decide whether you're going to slide or dive, so there's like a little bit of a delay there. Whereas if you have just slide only, there's no delay, that's just eliminated completely. But if you want to dive as well, go for hybrid. Plunging underwater, I've got mine on default, which is trigger. If you're someone that plays Warzone all the time though, I would go for free. Parachute, automatic behavior, I have this off. So the reason why you want to have this off is because you can get to the ground as low as possible in Warzone, which means you're going to be able to like loot up quicker and just everything will be so much faster. Whereas if you have this on always, sets a certain barrier to how far you can fall to the ground, which is just restricting you. So you're not going to want this on. Sprint and door bash on, ledge climb behavior, mantle only. All of this I've left on default, you don't need to change any of this. So all of this is default. For interact slash reload behavior, because I'm a multiplayer guy, I go for tap to reload as I don't want to be picking up guns accidentally. But if you're someone that plays Warzone and is very, very flashy, go for prioritize interact. I usually switch between the two. For armor plate behavior, apply all. This is default. All of this here guys is just all default. You don't need to mess around with any of this stuff. Right guys, so I've moved on to the graphics section now. So for on-demand text streaming, you want this off. If you're someone that gets packet burst or doesn't have the best internet, you really don't want this on because it will interfere with your game. For the wall motion blur, have this off. Weapon motion blur, off. Film grain all the way down to 0. Depth of field, off. The reason why you want all of these settings off is because it will affect your game visually, and it's just going to make things harder to see. Fidelity FX CAS, have this on and turn this all the way to 100. This will then make your game a whole lot sharper. For the eco mode preset, you're going to want this off as you don't want your console using any unnecessary power consumption. If you have a monitor that supports 120Hz, obviously have this on. FOV, I've actually got mine on 110. If you're someone that plays Warzone, 110 is literally the meta right now, and I feel like 110 is perfect for multiplayer ranked as well. Like, it's not too zoomed out. And with 120, you actually lose aim assist, so you don't want that. So I've just gone for 110. Third person, that doesn't matter, that can be default. For the first person camera movement, you want at least 50%. You don't want any shaky camera movements, which default has. So make sure it's 50%. Inverted flashbang, I've actually got this on because instead of seeing like a very, very bright image on your screen, it can sometimes hurt your eyes as well. If you have sensitive eyes, have this on. For the spectator camera, I've just got game perspective. And then this just depends on like what monitor you have, if it supports HDR. And then for the safe area, you want this as minimal as possible because you want to be able to see your HUD like as close as your screen as possible. So make sure you've decreased the height and width. Guys, moving on to the audio settings. So if you're someone that plays on console like myself, I would personally go for soundbar, as I think you get the best sounds out of this audio mix. And then if you're someone that plays on PC, go for headphone bass boost, as there's something called sound EQ on there, which is basically an enhanced sound. So you get more out of your sounds than that on PC with headphone bass boost. So if you're on PC, you go for this. For the master game volume, you want to make sure this is 100. Gameplay music volume, I like to have this on at least 6, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to have it on 0, so there's no audio. Dialogue volume, you're going to want this on 50. This is just where the characters will just speak in game. If you have it on 100, it's just too loud, and sometimes it could actually give away your position. For effects volume, have this all the way up to 100. Cinematic volume, I have this on 0. And for war tracks volume, this is just Warzone stuff. I've got mine on 100, which is default. And in all of these settings here, like the voice chat volume, this is just all personal preference. Open mic sensitivity, all of this, like just tweak it to like your liking. For the subtitles, I would have them on for campaign and nothing else. I feel like for multiplayer, it just clutters your screen too much. You don't really need it. For campaign, I would just keep it on. Mono audio, have this off. Reduce tinnitus sound, make sure you have this on. This is where if you get hit by a stun or a flash grenade, it has that ringing noise. If you have this on, it basically eliminates it completely where it's non-existent. So make sure you have this on. And then for the Juggernaut music, this is just Warzone stuff. I've just kept it on default, and then hit marker sound effects. This is also default. I've just kept mine on Modern Warfare. Anyway guys, I hope this video was informative enough so that you were able to learn a thing or two. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment and I'll be happy to respond. Also, don't forget to drop a like and turn on the bell for post notifications. If this video can break 50 likes, I will definitely do a part 2. See you later, YouTube.